So this is going to be a big topic. I'm sure you got some words for this. I'm making a whole separate video on this, which is what I was editing last night and before you joined. So James Harden. Do we give James Harden the supermax, or what do we do with him?
Hell no. My bad for yawning so much, bro. I'm not bored of you, I promise. But no, bro. I don't know. Okay, he's gonna take the player option. No way he doesn't. We're talking like 40+ million dollars.
Yeah,
So he's guaranteed another year in Philadelphia. Now he is an expiring contract, and he's a player that's been traded twice, right? A lot of people they see him as like they're like his value is rapidly
yeah,
decreasing game by
exactly.
game, especially by oh, the man sucks in the playoffs. Like every single year, something happens to him where he can't perform in the playoffs. Last year, his hamstring, right? And then that wouldn't be such an issue if this year he would have came out here and balled out. But it's like all this is happening. I don't think he's gonna get big money just because no one's looking at him now as like the James Harden he used to be. Quick first step, alley oop or floater, step back three.
Yeah, that's exactly what I talk about in the video that is about to come out. I'm like, as much as it hurts to say, guys, we have to face the truth.
Yep.
James Harden is out of his prime, and that's that. Like his value is significantly decreasing. You know, he was scoring 40, 50, 60 points before, and now he's scoring like 20. And
Yep.
uh I brought the sort of the same thing that you did up. The fact that he's been traded 2 times already, because everybody jokes about, like, Stephen A. Smith always saying the dumbest stuff, but Stephen A. Smith actually made a really good point when he was debating this with Patrick Beverly the other day. He said, he forced his way out of Houston. He forced his way
Yep.
out of Brooklyn. If Philly
Yep.
signs him to $270 million, what's to say that he doesn't force his way out of Philly as well? And the contract, I know some people are going to be like, well, it's a 4-year contract. You can't trade any players that are over 3 seasons. But it's
Yep.
like, okay, well, he was on contract in Houston as well. It's like, even if he has to play there, he doesn't have to play there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He can be there, but he's not going to put in 100%. If he doesn't want to be there, he doesn't want to be there.
Exactly.
And what I wrote down is, James Harden is still averaging like 22 points a game, which, like, 22 isn't nothing, but for James Harden, that's a significant decrease from where he was at. And I said, I put in my notes here. I said it's 22 points is still good,
Yes.
but how many players are also getting 22 points a game with his minutes, especially 43 minutes, that you can get with 20 million, 40 million, even 50 million, rather than a whole 270 million fucking dollars.
Yeah.
There are so many other players that are getting, especially if you give them James Harden's minutes with like 43 a game, that are going to put up those 22 points that are so much cheaper than
Most def.
signing this 270 million 4-year contract. And you know even 4 years is a lot. Take away the money entirely. James Harden is already like 35.
Yes.
So that means that if you sign him for 4 years, he's going to be 39. That's older than LeBron is right now. There's no way that James Harden is going to be putting up barely even 20 by the time he's 39. Like, I could see him signing that. If he even signs that 4-year contract, I can easily see him retiring in like 2 years into that contract. It's just, you're not going to get the value that you're expecting
Nope.
out of that contract one way or the other. It's just done.
Yeah, I agree completely, man. And it's just no one sees him like how we used to just because of these last 2 years.
Yeah, man. I don't even want to go into the playoffs thing, because the playoffs is like such a dead horse. Like, every
Yeah.
single year, people are talking about James Harden being bad in the playoffs, but it's James Harden. And again, I got a video coming out that goes more in depth with this. But James Harden is aging, and every player ages, and Patrick Beverley tried to say like, well, we gave LeBron the supermax when he was averaging this, and it's like, well, yeah, that's LeBron.
Literally,
LeBron
greatest
is
of all
yeah.
time.
LeBron is 2 years older than Harden, and he's still putting up like 30 points. So it's
Yep.
like, I don't like saying LeBron is the GOAT, but he's the longevity GOAT, which is what the way
I agree.
CJ put it. And I agree with that. You can't compare the longevity of LeBron James to fucking James Harden. It just doesn't
Oh,
work.
you can't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
So, anything else with the James Harden stuff or no?
I mean, we said most of it, and it's pretty obvious. You can see it, and it's like the one thing that really, really, really was weird to me is, all right, you complain that you have no teammates available for you in Brooklyn,
Yeah.
and then you have a super ugly departure from Houston to the point where you're not even like with the team anymore.
Yeah.
And now you're in Philadelphia. Literally everything you need. You'll have Joel Embiid. The man's playing with a broken face. Literally a broken
Yeah.
face. Giving it his all. You have your defensive players all around you. You have your shooters, not like insane amounts. Losing Seth Curry was a huge deal. I
Mhm.
still believe that. That was a big loss. But you have so many pieces around you to actually be a good team. And it's like, you literally made it as far as Ben Simmons did on this team. So it's like, and he wasn't even shooting,
Yeah.
which was the most annoying thing.
That's what like a lot of people were talking about. They were talking about, like we traded Ben Simmons because he went 0 for 0 like that entire playoffs.
Yep.
But then you go to James Harden, and James Harden scored 0 in the second half of Game 6.
Yes.
So it's like,
Yes.
you know, it's like a pot kettle situation here. And I like how you brought up the whole teammates and Embiid thing because back at the start of the season, James Harden and Embiid both went for like 30, 40 points. Let me pull up the post
All right.
because I put down their stats. But
I know what you're talking about. And then they had like 10, 15 free throws in that same game too.
yeah, hang on. So in Harden's Philly debut, he scored 27 points, 12 assists, and 8 rebounds. And Embiid had 34 points, 3 assists, and 10 rebounds. And Kendrick Perkins, after that performance, was, like, Joel Embiid and James Harden are the next Kobe and Shaq. And it's like,
I remember that.
yeah, it's like, no.
How many times have you heard that phrase?
Yeah, bro, I hate it. Because, like, back in the day, maybe. Because, like, people were comparing James Harden to Kobe back in the day. But
Yes.
now, obviously not. And the problem with that, the problem that I have when comparing that as well is that Kobe is the first option with Shaq or on any team that Kobe played on, and James Harden isn't. That's why he left. That's why he left Brooklyn, because he didn't like being the third option behind KD and Kyrie, and then in Philly he's the second option behind Embiid. So it's like you can't call him Kobe when he's taking the back seat, because we all know Kobe was never going to take the back seat. He always pushed to have the plays made around him. And that's another reason I don't want, like, I don't think Philly should sign the contract, because, again, he can force his way out of Philly because he's having the same problems in Philly that he had in Brooklyn. Brooklyn, his biggest problem, without going into the whole, like, Kyrie, like, stuff, political stuff, was like he didn't like not being the first option, and he was constantly arguing with the coach about that. He wanted more plays built around him. And then we come to Doc Rivers, and Doc Rivers, there's so many jokes made about Doc Rivers being a bad coach and all that, but Doc Rivers is obviously going to build the plays around Embiid because Embiid is the first option. And Harden is getting annoyed again the same way he did in Brooklyn. And in the interview, they're like, does Doc Rivers draw up plays around you or Embiid? And he said, next question. So, like, you can tell it's pissing him off, and he's having problems with Doc Rivers the same exact way he had problems with Steve Nash. It's like we're just going in, like, this big loop here of him being like, oh, I don't like this team and coach, I'll go to another one. I don't like this team and coach, I'm going to go to another one. I don't like this team and coach, I'm going to another one. And it's like he's never going to get what he wants because what he wants is to be the first option.
Yeah,
But again, he can't accept that he is out of his prime anymore, and he's not going to be the first option ever again.
I agree completely. And it's like there's nothing wrong with being number two. You're still gonna get yours, and he still gets his shots. It's not like they completely ignore him.
Yeah.
He still gets his shots, and he still gets the ball in his hands. Like him and Joel Embiid are the perfect pick and roll pair, and he has such a problem with, oh, I'm not always gonna be the one shooting, and it's just like, dude, like, stop being like that, man. Just play the game.
Yeah, man.